Hello and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that reminds you that a xenomorph may want you for your body, but a zombie wants you for your brains. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Core from Gale Force 9. In Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Core, 1 to 6 players take on the roles of various Marines as they attempt to blast their way through these kooky xenomorphs and reach their objectives. Now, the game is designed to play as a campaign game, but there are standalone scenarios you can play as well. Essentially, everybody is going to go ahead and take a character. They're going to go ahead and grab their figure, and characters that are not being played can be subordinated to other characters who can control them during the game. Now, each player is going to have some various cards. They're going to have weapons and gear cards that they can equip their character with. You're also going to have an aim dial, which is going to be set to your aim. You're also going to have an endurance deck, which is built off to the side. An endurance deck is kind of going to be what powers the game and keeps the game moving. Now, you set up the board, which is a modular board. You set various icons, various tokens everywhere to kind of represent different things, and then you get your Marines in a starting area. Your Marines are going to want to go ahead and follow the story to get that objective and then get out alive. Now, essentially, you have 3 phases to the game. You have the Marine phase, the Alien phase, and the Finish phase. Norwegian phase? Now, during the Marine phase, the very first thing you're going to do on your turn is kind of reset your aim dial. You reset your aim dial back to where it was. Now, things can mitigate your aim, make it go up or down, and you set it back to where it is normal at the first thing on your phase. Now, some of your characters, some of your cards will have an on-activation ability. These are things that happen immediately. As soon as that character is activated, you go ahead, you take care of any of those abilities. Now, next you can equip cards. You can put any cards you have in your hand, you can equip them onto your character or to other characters that you control. Or you can also unequip those characters as well, put those cards back into your hand. Now, when you activate a character, they can take up to 2 actions. First of all, they can move up to their speed. They can barricade a door or unbarricade a door. They can increase their aim. You can essentially move your aim dial up 1 to give you a better chance of hitting somebody. You can interact with certain objects in the game. You can do a specific card action if it tells you can do it at that time. You can also discard cards at that time as well. But critically, the big thing you're going to want to be doing is killing aliens. So, of course, you can attack on your turn as well. Now, when you roll an attack die, what you do is you roll the Marine die, you roll the die, and if it is a number equal to or less than your aim dial, then you get a hit. If it's higher than the aim dial, you miss. But regardless, every time you fire, you have to lower your aim dial 1 point. So your aiming gets worse the more you shoot. Now, also, some characters will have an end of activation ability. So at the very end of their activation, certain things happen. You have to resolve those. Next, you can activate other characters you control. Now, whoever has the highest rank, all the characters have ranks. If you have the highest rank, you can control kind of one of these other minor characters. And you can go ahead and take care of their activation at that time as well. Finally, you pass the activation token to the next player, who then goes ahead and does their activations. Once all the Marines have gone and done their activations, then you move to the Alien phase. Now, during the Alien phase, aliens will begin to move toward the players. They have a speed of 6. They're going to go ahead and move as fast as they can to get there. Now, as they are moving toward those players, before they can attack or do anything, you actually get a chance to fire defensive fire. Everybody that's got line of sight and range can do defensive fire. So you go ahead, you fire your guns, but again, if you've already fired a lot on your turn, your aim dial is going to be pretty high, so you may not have the best chance for defensive fire. Now, After you try to do defensive fire, the alien then attacks you. Essentially, you roll a defensive die, and if your number is under your defensive die, you've successfully parried, you're not harmed. But if it's not, then you are hit. Now, if it's also lower beneath your melee roll, then you can actually do a melee attack to try to take out the alien. But if you fail, then different things can happen. You can be knocked out or you can be killed. Now, if the player is killed, one of the other character grunts that's in the game, they can then become that character grunt to play it. But otherwise, the other player, if he's just knocked down, he can be captured by an alien, in which case you want to get him back. Now, finally, each player is going to draw a motion tracker card. This is going to say essentially where aliens are going to spawn, and you place them on the board. If they're within line of sight, they appear as aliens. However, if you can't see them, they just appear as blip tokens. Now, during the Swedish phase... Sorry, it never gets old. During the finish phase, players are going to go ahead and check and see if there's any end of round things they need to take care of, any finish phase activations or anything that needs to be done. They're going to do that, and they're going to go ahead and check for a victory to see if the specific objectives of the mission have been completed. And then if not, if you're going to go on to the next turn, you go ahead and you move your dial to indicate that it's another turn. Now, during this game, you've also got a concept of the endurance deck. And the endurance deck is a stack of cards, like I said, it's going to drive the game, that you're going to draw from. You can discard cards into the endurance pile, but then there will also be exhausted cards in the endurance pile. And generally, you don't want the exhausted or the endurance deck or the exhausted deck to run out. That can be very bad. But you're interacting with this constantly. You're interacting with this deck constantly, drawing cards from it constantly to see kind of what happens or to see if there's different items or weapons you can use. Typically in this deck there are weapons cards, equipment cards, these are things that can help you. There are event cards, random things that can happen that kind of spice up the game, maybe in scary ways. Then there's hazard cards, and these are things you have to deal with immediately, and they can be pretty nasty. Now, if all of the Marines are killed, captured, wounded, knocked down, then game over, you lose. But if you and your friends can succeed in meeting the mission requirements, then you and your friends win Alien: Another Day in the Core. All right, so Alien: Another Day in the Core. Right off the bat, very first thing I'm going to mention that I'm very disappointed in is that you have to put the models together. You have to assemble them, and they're not just snap together, they take glue, and I wasn't happy about this. I do not like to assemble minis. I hate it. I loathe it. I detest it. I did not know you had to do this. I had actually requested a copy from the good people at Gale Force 9, and they sent me this. And had I known that you would have had to put these things together, I wouldn't have done it. To me, that's not fun, that's work. Now, I realize and I appreciate that there are people out there who really enjoy it, who like to paint minis and who really get into the minis. I'm not one of them. So if you're somebody out there who really likes it, then this is a game for you. But I was very disappointed. It took me forever to get these things together, and I could never get the tails on the aliens to stick. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I'm just not good. That's not my skill set. I'm an intellectual. But I'm not good at making minis. Many people are, and God bless them for it, but not me. So I was really disappointed in that. That really turned me off right there. The game itself, other than that, it looks good. The minis look good, and the components look good. I didn't have a problem with the production generally, except for that one big problem. But it looks good. It's a good-looking game. Now, a couple of things. This endurance deck, I really like that quite a bit. To me, this is the best part of the game, because I really like games where you use cards that can do things for you as that, but you also have to use them for a currency, and that's what they are. They're kind of a currency. You can discard cards because you want to make sure that those decks don't get exhausted. So you can discard cards, or you can find ways to rotate the cards, and that kind of keeps you in the game. But it's scary when that deck's getting thin, and you think, well, what sacrifices can we make to get that done? I really like that a lot. I thought the way the endurance deck worked here in this game was actually pretty cool. I really like that whole aim thing. It's a real simple thing, but every time you fire, it gets harder to hit. And I like that too because, like I say, you're trying to hit those guys during your turn. You're trying to shoot them during your turn, but then when it's the aliens' turn, they're coming at you, and you got the defensive fire. You're not as accurate. And I thought that was actually really cool and really well done here as well. Now, this game is a dungeon crawler, right? And I've said this before. They're not my favorite. I used to really like them, and now I'm just kind of meh, because honestly, so many of them seem like they're just the same thing. On your turn, move, shoot, interact with something, and then the aliens move. And they're just very samey to me. So when I play a dungeon crawler, I like to find innovations. I like to find new and fun things. And so for me, it was the endurance deck in this game. That's pretty fun. I like that. But still, it's a pretty basic dungeon crawler. And I don't know. I don't know how different and how innovative you can get with these things to make them really significantly different. I like this game. I had fun with it. I didn't love it. Now, I just played the scenarios, and if you play the campaign version, I'm sure that it opens up a whole new game. And if you like campaigns, then I think this is probably a good game to play. But I'm not a big campaign guy. I don't like to play just the same game over and over and over again. I'd go nuts. I like to mix it up. I've played one or two campaigns, and after a while, they're not for me. I guess it depends on the game. Maybe I need to play more kinds of games, but the campaign games I've played have been dungeon crawlers, and maybe that's kind of where I fell out of love with them. I don't know. So what I'm going to say with Alien Another Day in the Core is try it before you buy it. Some pretty big caveats here. Number one, you got to like dungeon crawlers. A lot of people do. That's not going to be a problem. But the big thing is constructing those minis, building those minis, using the glue on those minis. If you're somebody that likes that, do it. You'll get a kick out of them. They look great. If you don't like building them, stay away from this game because you have to, and it's really disappointing. And it was really frustrating putting those together. Not happy about that. Still, it's a decent game. Not a great game in my opinion, but a good game. Try it before you buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to go ahead and give us a thumb on Board Game Geek. That really helps us out. And if you like World War II or military history and books on history, I recommend you check out my other YouTube channel. That is Cody Carlson, PhD. Please subscribe to that as well. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. And my big parting question for you is, why can't they make a CPAP mask that looks like a face hugger? That would just be so cool.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
In all seriousness, this means so much to me. I promised myself I wouldn't do this.